I predicted inflation the moment they shut down the world, particularly after all of the bailouts in 2020. Infinite QE, money printing, bond purchases, increased spending, printing billions, debt accumulation. The FED would eventually run out of bullets. Nah, who could have predicted inflation? The world's largest economies were paying people not to produce goods and services, or simply boarding them into their homes in China, yet they had no idea why inflation was so high. People frequently fail to see what they do not want to see, because people were taking handouts blindly, because 99% of the population trusted their government and its bogus consumer price index, because political pressure to keep the false economy afloat is far more important than a stable currency that does not rob the middle and lower classes of their purchasing power. Make them even more reliant on the government while you're at it, more votes, because they must print. If they stop, the house of cards will collapse. They literally cannot stop printing at this point. It's too late now, and it's been too late for quite some time. However, Biden recently stated that inflation is an asset. This is what it looks like to dumb down a population. The destabilisation phase has ended and the chaos phase has begun. It's called communicating a nation through central banking. The Fed coined the term transitory, then obliterated it. Who could have predicted this? Who is to blame? Who stands to gain? Only those who did their jobs and followed orders would not have seen it coming. They're still wearing the masks, which have served as a muzzle and blinders. It makes no difference whether they saw it or not, because they have chosen to keep the poor poorer and the rich richer by keeping rates at 0%. I wouldn't be surprised if the Federal Reserve delays interest rate hikes tomorrow, blaming it on the economy while continuing to print trillions. Treason has infiltrated our republic, and the government is laughing behind our backs. They are all responsible. The traditional definition of inflation, increased money supply, has been twisted to mean rising prices. We knew, classic, inflation had occurred and were simply waiting for it to affect prices. They could see it coming. Their goal is to bring the currency to its knees. This is done on purpose. We're being transitioned into a CBDC slave system. We're going to have massive inflation whenever they print trillions of counterfeit dollars. Anyone with two brain cells who wasn't blinded by mainstream media nonsense saw inflation coming. The most amusing aspect of this entire ordeal is that the Fed literally established a policy to pursue inflation. Jerome Powell stated that they would begin aiming for a multi-year average CPI of 2% rather than an annual CPI of 2%. He was emphatic that this policy would result in inflation that was significantly higher than 2% for a period of time. Only war will keep the Fed from raising interest rates. This inflation is not a passing fad. This will continue as long as interest rates remain low and money is printed. The US government is the world's largest debtor, and they will not allow interest rates to rise significantly, and Wall Street relies on those printed dollars. So, who gets screwed? Poor and middle class, as is customary. Hidden inflation is a tax and a way to avoid responsibility. So convenient that the war talk is kicking off just as we're discounting all the dollars created out of thin air through deficit spending, as well as all those coming down the pork barrel pipe. As the depression sets in, asset classes will deflate as people are unable to service their debts, while consumable commodities such as food and clothing will skyrocket. They could see it coming and didn't care. It allows them to steal everyone else's property and money. Inflation is taxation without representation or the government's legalized stealing. Soon, no one in this country will own their own home. We will be a nation of renters, beholden to the government for every aspect of our lives. In other words, tax slaves. For more such informative videos, subscribe to our channel and like the video. See you in the next video.